Hey everybody, it's Victor Howell along with my teammate from LSU GameDay Live and the sideline reporter for the LSU Sports Radio Network, Gordy Rush, here for some instant reaction and analysis. Gordy, to the news that has become official now this afternoon. Ross Dellinger, former reporter in Baton Rouge, now at Sports Illustrated, the first to report it, that LSU and head coach Ed Orgeron have reached a financial agreement to part ways, but he will coach the rest of the season. We heard some of this scuttlebutt yesterday on campus before our show. Everything was moved up with an 11 a.m. kick. Nothing seemed official, but that sure did sound like the buzz. Now we're finding out that that it's now official that the two will part ways at the end of the year. Thought we'd jump on here real quick and kind of get some instant reaction and your thoughts on this news now that Coach O and LSU, 2 years removed from the national title, will part ways.
You know, I think I said a little bit this on the last couple of weeks. I just feel shell-shocked. I mean, we're inside of 22 months since LSU celebrated a national championship, and there's been so much that's gone on football-wise. You know, obviously you had all the people leave the 2019 team. You had the COVID 2020 season, which is hard really to count or to me fault anyone. You had so many people opt out. You had transfer portal. You had an all SEC schedule. You had such a really rough year, and then you ended on such a high note with 2 wins over in Florida and Ole Miss. And there were so many high expectations for this season. And the injury bug, Miles Brennan, and go on with all the injuries, the disappointing performance at UCLA, the loss to Auburn when you had a chance to close them out, and then I think the taste that everyone left with after the Kentucky game, in which Kentucky just overpowered you, and obviously there were discussions this week between both parties, and they come to a settlement. I think like the positive out there that comes out of this, if you want to look at it that way, is that I think it calms down what's just been a hostile environment around the state and everything around LSU that was out there last week that you were hoped would simmer down after the win over Florida, which was ironic. But
yeah,
you know, not surprised, Victor. There are a lot of things that have happened off the field which are still unsettled out there that I'm not privy to, and for both parties to kind of settle and move on, because I know this has been hard on Coach Orgeron and his family, and it's just been a tough time.
Yeah, 49-17 in Tiger Town, 13-5 against teams in the top 10. And as you mentioned, Gordy, it's a strange time for this to come out when there was so much expectation. We might hear something about this all week. You and I, Jacob, Eric, we talked about this Saturday morning on LSU GameDay Live. I used the comparison of the gray clouds on Independence Day. You were talking about Armageddon. That's what it felt like. And then here you are with this overwhelming feeling of joy of the performance we saw on Saturday, the record-setting running performance by TDP, a win over number 20 Florida. And then 24 hours later, here comes the news. But maybe that kind of puts some of this, like you said, at ease now, where the players aren't going to have to face questions each and every week. Hey, have you heard this about your coach? Has coach said anything to you? Has anybody else said anything to you? And now Coach Orgeron, and they can just focus on what they need to do, knowing that the news is out there. Maybe it makes it easier for them.
Yeah, and, you know, we'll hear tomorrow. Coach Orgeron speaks to the media at 12:30. I think we'll hear a little bit. I don't know how much he'll disclose, if any, about this settlement, and we'll see what the university puts out there. But look, I think first and foremost, being a former player, you want to look at the player's perspective. And for them, Victor, you know, I think at least for the short term, hopefully it's a good thing. They're going to rally around their head coach and get after it and continue the good football that we saw yesterday and go play Ole Miss and take I think to take the point of view and say, look, we're going to play for our coach and we'll run the table here and make you know, and you wind up parting ways with a 9-3 coach, or, you know, they got Alabama left. Can they win every game minus Alabama? And even Alabama's beatable. And we saw Texas A&M do that. I know they're probably the best team remaining on the schedule. So I think you have that, right? And somebody told me a long time ago, you know, look, I can handle yes, I can handle no, but maybe keeps me up all night. And it's one of those things where you get some clarity on what's going on.
So what kind of coach now as we move this thing forward? Because, you know, it'll be fast. You've now told the football world we're going to be looking. You know, some might take this and say, wait a minute, you're less than 24 months removed from an undefeated season and winning the national title, and this is what you do to your coach. But to your point, you mentioned it earlier, there are a lot of things that are also going on off the field that involve this particular coach. And remember, it is a new administration. This is not the hire of the current LSU AD. So, Gordy, as we move this forward, and we know that wheel's going to start spinning quickly, what kind of coach do you think LSU needs to look for? Does it have to be a big name splash? Does it need to be a proven coach? Is it a young up and comer? Does it center really more around, say, the type of offense we seem to talk about each and every week on our show with that up-tempo style that everybody got used to? Where do you think LSU needs to start when they start bringing in the next head coach for the football program?
It's a great question. You look at Scott Woodward's track history. He's made big splashes with Chris Peterson and Jimbo Fisher and Kim Mulkey. And he's also kept things really close to the vest. And Jay Johnson was a great example of that, LSU's baseball coach. A lot of people thought this was Mike Bianco's job. With the 10,000 baseball alumni in town, Bianco was coming. He got Jay Johnson. So I don't think there are going to be many leaks from this. I think it'll be a good hire. A couple of thoughts. I think you do need somebody offensively, right? That's been the problem with this program. What you've been trying to get to with that 2019 season is you've got to be. I mean, Nick Saban said it. He said, if I was an offensive coordinator, I would never huddle, and I would run tempo. When the best in the business tells you that's the direction you need to go, you really need to go. And then the other question is who's hireable in the sense that what's the temperature of the president, the board of supervisors, with the fact that you have some NCAA violations that have not been resolved. You have obviously the litigation that is out there. You take a candidate, and I'll just throw a name like a Hugh Freeze out there, which I think as a dynamite football coach, some of the things that happened to him while he was at Ole Miss, does that rule him out? Right? Does that scratch him out of is he not a candidate because of what's out there? I don't know. So it's obviously with USC out there, I think it's good to get your name because USC is trying to recruit, and now you have a chance. A lot of coaches won't talk to you when your job is still held. Some more people, I think, will talk to you and be open about it, but it'll attract obviously a great field. You can win national championships here. 3 different coaches have done so. In the last how many ever decades here. I think this gets Scott Woodward started. But look, any good manager has a plan B in place, and I'm sure as some of these bumps happen, that Scott's done so, and I have faith he's going to wind up hiring a good coach.
Yeah, before we go, of course, many people know if this is the first time you're seeing us or if you're watching us online and don't know, besides Gordy's responsibilities on the sideline for the LSU Sports Radio Network, he also oversees Guarantee Media. And I know, Gordy, this is now going to be the number one topic all week long. Now the Ole Miss game is secondary. This will be the topic all week. I know people want to hear from Coach. They'll also want to hear from people like Jacob Hester, who's on our show that has shows on your network. So before we go, I want you to let everybody know where they can tune in to hear discussion on this, because this will be a number one topic until we get to next Saturday. Yeah, no, absolutely. 104.5 ESPN in Baton Rouge, 100.3 down in New Orleans. You can watch the shows on CST. Off the Bench is on 7 to 10, and then Matt Moscona 3 to 6 online, all over the place. Wherever you consume content, we'll be there. And tomorrow, I believe CST does as well, but we'll have that press conference from 12:30 to 1. You can listen to that. And then Coach Orgeron makes his weekly appearance. He's scheduled to on Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert Tuesday morning in the 7 o'clock hour. So, yeah, it's going to be a talk of the town. There's going to be a lot of speculation, and like with the baseball search, I got a kick out of it. I think a lot of the speculation is going to be just that. Scott Woodward's going to, I think, be buttoned up on this search, and so we ain't going to hear a whole lot, to be truthful. And so I look forward to seeing that. Yeah, names will be flying. I've already heard Bieniemy at Kansas City, offense coordinator, bring him to the college ranks, give him a shot. You've heard of Franklin up at Penn State. I mean, names are going to be flying. We've got 6 weeks to endure this, and we'll see what happens. But it's the big news. It just becomes official. LSU and head coach Ed Orgeron parting ways at the end of the 2021 season following their big win against Florida. Now they get ready for the Rebels. Of course, Gordy and I will be there with you next Saturday morning. Gordy and Jacob in Oxford to get you ready for the game. Eric Alexander and I will be in the studio. We'll give you a full hour and talk much more about what develops this upcoming week. Hey, Gordy, thanks for taking time out of your day so we could get some instant analysis on the big news. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next week on the air. Yeah, sure. Anytime, Vic. Thank you.